The making of celebrity. Colloquially, people called the show Chicken of Predators, and they had good reason to do so. The idea was based on a common scenario in dystopian fiction, where people are put into a game and they have to beat the odds. Sometimes those odds are fearsome creatures. The show didn't go that far, but it did create some hairy situations and add in the usual reality show drama. It was day 3 and the contestants had created their personas with skill. The public had also picked their favourites. The downtrodden, the manic, and the oh-so-perfects. The battle lines were drawn in the game and by the spectators. That day's game was Spot the Dog. They'd been given access to security cameras that only showed time-lapse style shots of the world that had been created around them. These were timed at 20-second intervals. Spotting anything was luck of the draw, but they had to find an actual dog, not a toy, that moved around as it pleased, and get a token from its collar. Tokens brought privileges and prestige. The contestant, who was appropriately nicknamed Psycho, had been the first to spot the dog and had, as was his wont, haired off in the direction of that camera without a second thought. And, as was the game's wont, the producers had changed the landscape since the previous day without telling anyone. Psycho didn't care. He was up for anything and had the strength and athleticism to achieve much. But this? The wall of ice he came upon, with several bleeped-out words, only ever shown this way on newscasts thereafter, was 6 inches thick. He had to get through it before all the others caught up with him, those who had dared to follow, because some were rightly scared of him. Most people would have tried to find an implement to help them with the task, but Psycho didn't think like that. His implement was his body. He ran at the ice top speed and jumped, kicking out his legs hard in front of him. His landing was not pretty, compounded by the rough terrain beneath him. But his actions did the job. A wall of cracked ice towered over him and began to creak. Everything began to move except for him. He couldn't. His body was like a rag doll. He screamed out in rage and frustration, which probably wasn't a good thing to do, given the ice, until he realised he wasn't alone. No person had yet reached him, but the dog was licking his hand. Luck was shining on him. If only he could. He strained to lift his head. A grimace, or possibly a pained smile, gracing his face. He could see the red tag dangling from the dog's collar. So tantalising. If he could just reach out far. No, there wasn't going to be a magical fairy tale ending. A stretcher slammed down beside Psycho, and 2 paramedics began the process of moving him safely, which wasn't going to be quick. Because of this, another group of show staff lined up along the ice and began to push on it, trying to make it fall the other way. Their efforts were rewarded after much grunting and shouting. The dog's trainer called it to her, rather calmly considering the situation. The show went off air that day. There were so many counts against it, even the makers couldn't object. Psycho cried all the way to the hospital, until he saw the cameras. Someone won that day. But was it the right someone?